all you need to know, the Bloomberg Quint podcast that prepares you for the day's business. Good morning. This is the daily morning update from Bloomberg Quint, and I'm Alex Matthew. It's budget day. In just a few short hours, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will lay out her government's plan to spur economic growth. Word on the street is that investors will accept some slippage on the fiscal deficit front if it means higher growth. So obviously the government's market borrowing and fiscal deficit target will be key to watch, as well as whether there's a change in the allocation for various departments and schemes compared with the interim budget. We'll be live on Bloomberg Quint through the day and will get you the insight that you need to understand how Budget 2019 affects you. In news back home, the government has ordered a serious fraud investigation office probe into the affairs of Jet Airways after finding instances of fund diversion and large-scale irregularities. The government will also oppose Naresh Goyal's plea in the Delhi High Court seeking lifting of a travel ban. Yes Bank has said that it acquired over 9% shares of battery maker Eveready Industries by invoking pledged shares following a loan default by a group company. This comes after PwC quit as Eveready Industries auditor, saying it was unable to obtain sufficient audit evidence of intercompany deposits and its recovery. Real estate developer Soba sold more residential units in the first quarter of this financial year, even as average price realizations declined. Sales volume of its residential units jumped 11% compared with the same period last year. Bloomberg has reported that Dewan Housing Finance, which has delayed payment on some of its debt obligations, plans to ask banks to lend 1,500 crore rupees every month to help revive the company. And the International Court of Justice will pronounce judgment on the Kulbhushan Jadhav case on the 17th of July, according to the International Court's website. Jadhav is on a death row in Pakistan. The sentence will be pronounced by the court's president, Judge Abdul Qawi Ahmed Yusuf, according to the website. Jadhav was a retired Indian Navy officer who was sentenced to death by a Pakistani military court on charges of espionage and terrorism in April 2017. India approached the ICJ in May 2017 against Pakistan for denying consular access to Jadhav. In commodities, oil declined as concerns that slowing economic growth will reduce energy demand outweighed worries that a confrontation with Iran may threaten supplies. Futures lost as much as 1.5% in New York as anxieties over demand resurfaced this week. The readings on several economic indicators from the US, China and Europe have dented investor sentiment. This is even as the OPEC and its allies agreed to extend output cuts. Even a spike in tensions with Iran was not enough to push prices higher. The UK and Iran are involved in a diplomatic dispute after the British Royal Marines and Gibraltarian police seized a supertanker carrying Iranian oil to Syria in violation of sanctions. Iran said the action off Gibraltar was illegal and summoned the British ambassador to the foreign ministry in Tehran. This comes as the UK, France and Germany are trying to stop Iran from walking away from the nuclear deal. US stock futures and European shares edged higher on Thursday in a lackluster session marked by thin trading volumes on account of the American holiday. Gold slipped, but it stayed above the $1,400 to a troy ounce mark. Next up in things to watch, there is the US jobs report that will be closely monitored for cues on the next move by the Federal Reserve. In Asia this morning, the early risers are positive, but only barely. The trend will likely get clearer once the Chinese markets open up. With that, it's over to Darshan Mehta for the trade setup for the day in India. All eyes on the budget, Darshan, but how are we looking at the start of trade?
Hi Alex, good morning everyone. We're waking up to slightly muted set of cues. The SGX Nifty is also not doing much. But today the movement will totally depend on the budget which will be presented today. But in other stocks that you need to watch out for, one of the first numbers to come out in the first quarter earnings season is GM Breweries. Revenues were up 7.5%, net profit was down 27% and EBITDA was down 24%, which means margin contraction now at 21.8% versus 30.7%. And one of the main reason is that raw material as a percentage of sales moved up significantly higher, now at 69% versus 60%. Novelis has said that the European Commission sent issued a statement of objection of the proposed purchase of Aleris. The firm will be working constructively with the Commission to conclude the investigation and closing the transaction in a timely manner, as per a statement by Bloomberg. Sobha came out with its first quarter operational update. New sales volume of residential units have increased by 11%. The company's share in total sales has increased by 8%, but the average realization fell by 8%, and this was due to a change in sales mix across the project. Yes Bank acquired 9.5% stake in Eveready Industries as the bank invoked pledge of 69 lakh shares, the reason being breach of terms of credit facility sanctioned by the bank to the company's arm McLeod Russell. Spencer's Retail has completed the acquisition of 44.6% stake in Godrej Industries Nature Basket. L&T Finance Holdings received $550 million in ECB investment round from World Bank's arm BNP Paribas, Citibank and DBS Bank. Maruti Suzuki in focus. CCI has ordered a probe on the company after a dealer complained. The probe is on alleged anti-competitive conduct in implementing discount control policy on the dealer. And GMR Group says that they have sold their entire stake of 47.6% in GMR Chhattisgarh Energy to Adani Power. The group also stated that the corporate guarantees worth 892 crores furnished on the group arms GMR Energy and GMR Power shall be released. But there's much more you need to know before trade actually starts. For that, log on to our website bloombergquint.com and click on the All You Need to Know tab, and you will be prepared for morning trade.
Thanks, Darshan. And as always, thank you all for listening in. As I said at the start of this broadcast, all the coverage on the budget will be available on the website bloombergquint.com and all of our social media platforms, so do stay tuned over the course of the day. This is Alex Matthews signing off. Have a great day.
I hope you enjoyed listening to All You Need to Know. Did you know that you can listen to the show on the IVM Podcast app? On the IVM Podcast app, along with this, we have a number of other shows which you think you'll enjoy. Listen to Cyrus Says with Cyrus Brocha as the host. Listen to Paisa Vaisa with Anupam Gupta. The Scene and the Unseen with Amit Verma, or Shunya One hosted by Shiladitya Mukhopadhyay and myself. Check out the IVM Podcast app to get more talk content that you will enjoy.